G'day, 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 you absolute bunch of wallaby-loving legends. Your old mate Steve Loserberwin back in the house with some quality wildlife content. So I want to tell you a little story. I was coming back in my Jeep from the wildlife farm the other day, not thinking much, driving through the suburbs, and I see this critter by the side of the road. I see it by the side of the road, and I immediately knew what happened, right? I knew that this was a critter who had been somebody's pet, who had given them lots of love and attention, loved them more than anything else, years of enjoyment. And then you know what? The next thing comes along, new, more sexy pet comes along, and they just took this lovely little critter and just threw him out on the side of the road. They're absolute rotters. It makes me really, really angry when I see people not respecting their pets like that. Well, you know I love animals, so there was only one thing I could do. I slammed on the brakes of the old Jeep, went out and grabbed the old trigger, the little critter there, and took him home. It's probably a he. We'll get into that in a moment. So, without further ado, allow me to show you this little critter which I picked up by the side of the road. He's a bit better now. Cleaned him up a little. Switched the camera too. Let's have a look at it. Look at him! Look at him! Crikey! What a beauty! Hey! Look at that beauty! Look at that plumage! It's so beige. It's very, very beige. And it's huge. Look at him. He's huge. He's an old one. He's fully grown. Here, what do we got here? 62 centimeters. If we go back here, right? 62 centimeters. That's like over 6 hands, right? Hands is actually a unit of measure which you use to measure the size of a horse. So, right, when you're in the presence of something that can be measured in a unit of measure that's designed for horses, you're like in the presence of something truly, truly special, ladies and gentlemen. And what is it? What is this critter? Well, as you know, some of you might know, there used to be millions of these. Millions, I tell you. They would gallop and stampede across the plains of North America in their Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm thinking a buffalo. This is not a buffalo. What this is, what we would have called this, would be a maxi desktop tower, right? You had maybe the mini tower, the midi tower, but this is the only one and true maxi tower. Look at the front of him. All I did, took him in from the side of the road. Don't know how he is. Don't even know if he's alive, right? And, washed him up a little bit. Still a bit of dirty, but look at the front. Look at that plumage, right? Look at what he's got there. He's got a turbo button. When was the last time you saw one of these with a turbo button? And we have this, and we have these mysterious holes on the front, and we have these mysterious holes on the back, like that one, which you'll get into, and that one, and that was all right. So as you saw, I just took the little fella and just kind of cleaned him up, plugged him in. I got some power over there, so let's see if we can get him going. Okay, powered up, and here we go. We flick the switch. Oh my god, look. It's alive. It's alive. I can hear him. Oh, you see it? He made a beep. That's the noise they make when they wake up. Look out. He's angry. Let's try that again. Maybe you get the true noise. This is the noise of back in the days. You don't quite hear it there on the microphone, but he does this little thing upon waking up. Very typical of this. And he's going to alert. He's got at 8 megahertz, and I've pressed the button. He's still at 8 megahertz because the turbo button is broken. There he is. There's a little... you hear that? That's exactly the noise these old fellas make when they wake up. Impressive, though, isn't it? He might be alive. Let's have a look. All right. Let's have a look round the back. So all I did, I plugged in the power over here. But I've got this mysterious other power over here. What's that then? Well, this particular generation of beasties, they had these. Shut him down, right? Because you didn't have a flat screen like this back in the day. You had a huge CRT display, VGA. There's a video I have on CRT tubes, which you might want to check in. You just go on the channel. Shout out to my subscribers. Go on the channel and look for the video about burn-in. There's a little bit about CRT. And because they were such beasts and the switch was usually at the back, they used a lot of power, so you didn't want to leave them running all the time. You only want to run when the main machine was running. So what did you do? You got one of these cables, and I actually still have one, right? So you have this cable, look, this end plugs in there, right, like that. And when I switch the machine, let me plug in the monitor here. Let me put in the monitor. There we go. VGA, right? So that's still familiar. Yeah, it's all easy, no problem, right? Old technology, what's the problem, right? So we got the monitor connected. We got the power connected into the computer and out of the computer. And we will try, and we go. Here we go again. Here we go again. And let's see. Yep. Oh, it's alive. Look, it's coming. It's coming. What are we looking at here? Ooh, it's a rare Pentium MMX running at a blistering, I tell you, blistering 200 megahertz. That's almost not a lot, really. It's about 1/10 of your typical 2 gigahertz you have here. And oh, we see some mysterious hieroglyphics on here. Um, Yep, so look, and no hard disk present. In a way, we can be happy for this little critter because somebody just ripped out his brain. He doesn't have any more memory of what happened, so at least he's forgotten about the suffering. He's forgotten about having been abandoned by these absolute rotters. How can you put something this beautiful on the side of the road? What is wrong with people? Makes me mad, I tell you. Then you have a typical other error from this generation. Keyboard error or no keyboard present. Not a problem because, or it's logical, because I didn't plug in a keyboard, right? So fine there. Press F1 to continue, right? No keyboard, press F1 to continue or Del to set up. Slight paradox there. They weren't quite smart. So if we look at the date of this BIOS, this thing, 84 to 98, Pentium MMX at 200, I looked up, is early 90s, about 95, 94, 96. So this beauty here, this absolute beauty, is almost a quarter of a century old, and it's still coming up. Let's see if we can fix him a bit. We have another thing here, CMOS checksum error. That means not only has his long-term memory been wiped out, even his short-term memory has been wiped out. So that's the easy fix. That's the first thing we're going to fix. And we're going to fix it with one of these. Here, look. What is that? It's from IKEA. That's how common this is. This is a battery, very simply put, and it's a famous model. It's the CR2032. Now, there's a million different types of these batteries for digital widgets, for remotes and whatever, and there have been for years and years and years. Well, the cool thing is the CR2032 you can still find everywhere. I got this out of a remote for a little air conditioning unit down here in Australia. It's really, really hot. And why I suspect the CR2032 you find every device in a scale and a remote, why is it still so popular quarter of a century later? So popular that even our Swedish friends sell them? Well, it's because they were used in here. They were used to battery back up the local memory which held the settings, like it's the onboard memory that holds the settings. Are you ready for this? Right? Trigger warning, if some of the more sensitive of you might want to look away while I take this guy's skin off. Oh, yeah, what a beast. Ooh. Yeah, anybody knows that noise, and that will show us the inside of that. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? Now we see something special about Maxi Towers is that they're a complete waste, right? They are absolutely huge. I could screw probably 10 hard disks in here and I still have all this space. Why did people want housings this big? I honestly don't know, right? Maybe it's for bragging rights or whatever, but for us it's good. It gives us some space. And down there you can see, yep, somebody took the battery out, before they threw him out, maybe to power their little remote. I'll take one in here, plug it in, tack, and at least now his short-term memory, or his whatever you want to call it, should come back. Let's try it again. All right, lovely. All right, be a good boy, good boy. Coming up. Oh, and is it beautiful? And it's still there. It's alive. It's alive. What a beauty, eh? What a beauty. And he's coming up and he's counting and he's counting. And that's quite a lot. That's 64 megabytes of RAM. 64 whole megabytes. That's like almost 8 iPhone photographs, right? But back then, that was a pretty large size. Okay, so CMOS checksum error is still there. Because we haven't saved them yet. Oh, well, we'll have to press F1 to continue. Well, that's not a problem, is it, right? We're just going to plug in a keyboard, isn't it? We'll take a trusty old USB keyboard and plug it in the US. We don't have a USB port on this thing. That's how old it is. So, this is the hole for the keyboard, right? I don't know if you can see it there. Maybe I'll look it up later, but it's a 5-pin. So I actually went on the interwebs and found a nice neighbor who for only 10 Australian dollars sold me a keyboard and some other equipment, including a keyboard from this age. So I have this here. Look at that logo. It's a digital company. Used to be as big as IBM and the rest of them. Nobody knows. Listen to that noise. Mechanical keyboard. It's not quite the true M series from IBM, but it's pretty close. Huh? What a beauty. Unfortunately, it's got the little connector here, which doesn't fit into that particular hole. But because I'm such an obsessive collector of old useless hardware, I happen to have this. This has the plug, which is going to go into here, and it has a socket, which I will demonstrate, accept the keyboard. So already here we're having to deal with some backwards compatibility issues. Finding keyboards today which still have this big rounded 5-pin connector is quite a thing. I suspect there are adapters USB to this, but hey, we're original hardware. None of these bits is less than 25 years old, so retro all the way. I'm just going to be brave and plug it straight in, see if it gets recognized. And now we're going to try and press F1 to continue. And we're in. All right, we got disk boot failure and insert systems. That's normal. I can try and press enter. Yep, disk boot failure, not unexpected. Control Alt Delete, that still works. I'm just going to go into the BIOS here and do a couple of settings for you. We also see here on the screen Fire 1000 GL. This is a proper graphics card. Here we are in the BIOS, right? That's what it looks like. You have this today on your PC as well. It's just much more complicated. So standard CMOS, yeah, just leave him. Everything's wonderful. He's recognized the drives. Everything's good. BIOS, we'll just leave it. We'll save it. That means he won't throw that error anymore. And we should be able to have a clean boot right now. All right, coming up. Fire 1000 GL, blistering 200 megahertz MMX. MMX was for multimedia X, extreme experience, something like that. Apparently the CPU has certain things which are better for video playing. So we managed to get through an entire boot cycle with no errors. So, little critter, how can you leave this at the side of the road? It's absolutely beautiful. All right. Time to break the fourth wall, everyone. So, and I will drop the horrifyingly terrible Australian accent. Apologize to the convicts and all of that down there. It's just part of my shtick. This channel, Loserbum, was named after Laserbeam, who my kids watch. He does Fortnite videos and he happens to be Australian. So, sorry about the accent. We'll drop it here. But hey, what a beauty, eh? Oh, what a beauty. So, not a lie. Pick this up on the side of the street. It literally smells of cellar. Somebody must have stuck this in the cellar and after 10 years, finally chucked it out, grabbed it, cleaned it up a bit, and plugged it in. I genuinely got this here from the internet, and I was lucky there was a guy who's just lives a few hundred meters up the road, who for a tenner gave me the keyboard, which I needed to do this. He also gave me a mouse, and look at that. It's a genuine IBM 3-button mouse with a funny thing on the bottom, right? Again, you youngsters, you boomers and zoomers and all of, not the boomers, but the zoomers and Generation Y and all of that. This is how a mouse used to work. There's a little ball in here, a little ball, which is held in place by this disc. And when you move the mouse, the ball rolls around and operates. Can we see these little 2 wheels in here? And that's how you get the mouse working, right? That's how old that is. And some of us old timers remember, after a while, the gunk from your hands would get wrapped around that little wheel, and you have to go in and scrape it out. Today, it's all optical and all USB. Again, we recognize that connector again. It's the same as on the keyboard, but this guy is so old that he didn't have a native mouse interface. So there's actually an actual card, right? There's an actual mouse interface card here, or it's a port extender which plugs onto the main board. So no native connector for the mouse. Other ones we have down there, we have an audio card, we have a video card we have some parallel interfaces, and these would be 2 serial interfaces, which we may or may not do stuff with. And last but not least, the other thing which I got included in that tenner is this one. What a beauty! What a beauty! It's an PCI network card, and this thing does have, you can see there, the white ones down the bottom, is got PCI. So this is still shrink wrapped, right? So I'm touching wood that this will work, because this is why I reactivated the channel now after such a long time. That was always the plan, is that that we go and back to, can I go here? Yeah, we go to the channel, and for my 252 subscribers, huge shout out to you guys. I haven't put any content out in a year, right? And my channel still every week somebody likes usually my mud video enough to subscribe. There's comments in there where people talk about muds. There was even a 14-year-old or something who said, "Yeah, I still play muds with my dad." Yes, they're not gonna die. So, what's the plan? The plan is to get this thing up and running, right? Put DOS on it, not Windows. Get the network card running, right? And then connect it to the internet, which is fraught with certain hazards in and of itself, viruses, right? And then we're going to do mudding on original hardware from the 90s, right? We're going to get the experience. What's it like to mud when you don't have Windows, when you don't have that fancy Mudlet software? All you have is DOS, a packet driver, some telnet, a noisy keyboard, and some tricks. We're also going to do some retro gaming. So yeah, I think that will be the content for the next sessions, and depending on the take up of this video, I hope to be motivated to do that semi-regularly, maybe once a month, maybe more frequently. So yeah, get ready for some retro online gaming, mud gaming. Get ready for some retro gaming which is not online, because yeah, it's always fun, all running on the original hardware. Emulation is for limp-wristed, what are they called, bloody pom, whinging bloody poms, that's what they are. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, we'll cut it for today. Been meaning to do this video for literally for a year. It's taken forever. It's good to be back. And last of all, you know this, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember to tell your friends to like, share, and subscribe. You're all a bunch of bloody legends. I'm Loserbum. You are the internet, and I am out of here.